On a cold November night in 1986, in the quiet suburban town of Newtown, Connecticut, a Pan Am flight attendant vanished into thin air. No body. No clues. No goodbye. Just gone. Her name was Helle Crafts, and her disappearance would lead investigators down one of the most gruesome and bizarre murder cases in American history, a case that would forever be remembered as the woodchipper murder. But before we get to that horrifying twist, we must go back to the beginning, to a marriage that looked perfect from the outside, and to the secrets that were slowly rotting beneath. Helle Crafts was born in Denmark in 1947, bright, ambitious, and fiercely independent. By the time she was in her 20s, she had already built a life that most could only dream of. She spoke several languages, traveled the world as a flight attendant for Pan Am Airlines, and had a magnetic personality that drew people in. During one of her flights in the early 1970s, she met a tall, confident man, Richard Crafts. An American pilot, charming, polite, and steady. To Helle, he seemed dependable, the kind of man who would bring stability to her adventurous life. They married in 1979 and settled in Newtown, Connecticut, a quiet, picture-perfect town where they raised 3 beautiful children. Helle continued flying part-time, while Richard worked as a pilot for Eastern Airlines and as a part-time police officer. To outsiders, they looked like the dream couple, stable careers, lovely home, beautiful family. But inside that home, things were far from perfect. Friends began to notice subtle changes. Helle appeared tired, stressed, and withdrawn. She confided to a few close friends that Richard was controlling, cold, distant, and sometimes verbally abusive. He would often keep secrets about money and disappear for long hours. She suspected infidelity. And she was right. In 1986, Helle hired a private investigator. What she found would shatter her world. Richard was having an affair with another woman, a flight attendant. When confronted, Richard denied everything. But the evidence was undeniable. By the fall of 1986, Helle had made up her mind. She quietly began preparing for divorce. She told a friend, "If something happens to me, don't think it was an accident." That sentence would come back to haunt everyone. It was the night of November 18, 1986. A winter storm was sweeping through Connecticut. The Crafts' babysitter, Dawn Marie Thomas, had been helping with the children while Helle returned from a long flight from Frankfurt, Germany. According to Dawn, Helle looked exhausted but uneasy. She mentioned that Richard had been behaving strangely. That night, Helle went to bed early. The next morning, she was gone. Richard told everyone that Helle had left to visit her mother in Denmark. But days passed, then weeks. And no one heard from her again. Her car was still parked at home. Her friends grew alarmed. And one of them, her co-worker Rita Bonfiglio, knew something wasn't right. Helle had told her, "If I disappear, don't let anyone stop looking for me." Rita went straight to the police. The police began asking questions. Richard was calm, too calm. He insisted Helle was fine, probably visiting family. But when investigators checked, her mother said she hadn't heard from her daughter. Helle's passport was missing, but her luggage, credit cards, and keys were all still at home. Something was off. And then came the tip, from a man named Joseph Hine, who worked for a local company that rented snow removal equipment. Joseph recalled renting a woodchipper to Richard Crafts during the middle of that icy storm. He thought it was strange, who chips wood in a blizzard. That tip changed everything. Police began searching the area near the Housatonic River, where Hine said Richard had used the woodchipper. In the snow, officers found something small, barely visible, a piece of plastic. Part of a human fingernail. Nearby, a tooth, a bit of hair, and a tiny bone fragment. The evidence was gruesome, but unmistakable. This wasn't an accident. Over several days, police and forensic experts sifted through over 60,000 pieces of debris. Among them, they found human tissue, bone fragments, a portion of a human skull, blonde hair matching Helle, and a piece of flesh embedded in a chainsaw, with a serial number that traced back to Richard Crafts. They had no body, but they had enough pieces to tell a horrifying story. Police theorized that after an argument, Richard struck Helle unconscious, possibly with a blunt object. He then placed her body in their home freezer. In the dead of night, while the children slept, he transported her frozen body to a remote area near Lake Zor. There, under the cover of a snowstorm, he used a commercial wood chipper to destroy the evidence, feeding her body through piece by piece, into the icy waters below. When questioned, Richard denied everything, even as forensic evidence piled up. The media called it the wood chipper murder, a name that would shock America. This was the first murder conviction in Connecticut history without a complete body. The trial began in 1988. The courtroom was packed. Prosecutors presented over 100 pieces of physical evidence, including DNA, hair samples, and fibers found in Richard's truck that matched Helle's nightgown. Experts painstakingly reconstructed the crime, proving that even without a body, science could speak for the victim. Richard showed no emotion. His defense claimed there was no proof of death, that Helle could have run away. But the jury didn't buy it. After 2 trials, the first ending in a hung jury, Richard Crafts was found guilty of murder in 1989 and sentenced to 50 years in prison. The case of Helle Crafts changed forensic investigation forever. It proved that even without a full body, meticulous science could bring justice. But more than that. It told the world the story of a woman whose quiet warning came true. Helle was described as kind, strong, and brave, a mother who deserved safety, love, and peace. And though her life was stolen, her story ensured that no victim would ever again be so easily erased. In 2020, after serving 33 years in prison, Richard Crafts was released. He now lives quietly, away from the public eye. But the memory of Helle Crafts, the woman who vanished in the snow, remains frozen in time. Sometimes, justice doesn't come easily. Sometimes, it takes one woman's courage, and one investigator's persistence, to reveal the darkest truths hiding behind closed doors. This was the disappearance of Helle Crafts. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more true crime stories that expose the chilling realities of human nature.